You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Hey everyone, look, I've got my second shelf up. And just so you guys know what they are, I'll break it down for you using my Newt Scamander wand from Harry Potter. So we start with Daredevil. There's Vampirella the Blood Dragon, which is a book I wrote. There's The Freeze, another book I wrote, a graphic novel. We got Bloodshot, which is a great figure from 3-0. Then a photography book I did. I have a bunch of those, but this one is Liz Ashley. And then Karma, Green Arrow. Green Arrow and Daredevil are my two favorite characters. I like Ninjak better than Bloodshot, but they haven't put Ninjak out yet. He's supposed to be next. Then we got an X-Wing. We got Din Grogu. 1001 Arabian Nights, The Adventures of Sinbad, when I was working at Zenoscope. This is an MSS Dread Knight from the Grey Knights. This is a Triceratops, which is not only a D&D figure, but it's my favorite dinosaur. And this is Deadly Creatures, the first of the Lucius Fogg novels I wrote. And back there underneath, there is a Steve Garvey baseball card, which is the same, not the exact same one, but the same one that I used to carry in my wallet when I was a kid. So that are the shelves. I now have a little bit better background for the show. That shelf back there is going to get cleaned up a little more. I think the figures at the top are going to stay the way they are, but we're getting a little better. It's progress. Stay tuned for the Dan Wickline Show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. It's April 20th. I feel like I should be doing something today. Not sure what it is. But thank you, Jeff. By the way, hello, Jeff, Ed, Cool, and Triple B. Yeah, the objects on the shelves have a good chance of swapping around occasionally. Maybe put different books up there, different photography books, different novels. But we'll go with that for now. Swap it up a bit. If I got something new coming out, I'll put it up there. Or, somebody coming on specifically. We'll see. But again, it just takes away that big blank white wall we used to have. Even when I had the one comic hanging there, it still was a bit too much. But getting ready for 420. I'm not much of a smoker, but I do like my gummies. So let's see. Jay is on the board today, not JD. And Jay says, welcome. Don't forget to like, comment, heart, and share out the show. So do what Jay says. And Ed says he's already on it. He's full on 420. So good for you, Ed. All right. What we're going to do today is we're going to talk to the news. I'm going to go on a wee bit of a rant. Then we'll talk about the Mandalorian season finale, and we'll do some key collectibles at the end of the show. Pretty straightforward. But let's jump into the news. There's some interesting stuff going on. Starting off with more of the MCU is coming home. Well, I wrote this and found out more as I went, but 2 of Sony's Marvel films are moving to Disney Plus on May 12th. So on May 12th, you will now be able to see on Disney Plus Spider-Man Homecoming and the Tom Hardy Venom movie. Now, these will be, I'm not exactly sure how they're going to be put up there, but, whether the Hardy will be part of the MCU or not, Will they be called the Sonyverse? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that's taken care of. But eventually, all of the Sony movies will migrate to Disney Plus, which leaves only the Hulk as the one MCU film that isn't available on Disney Plus. That's on HBO Max. Now, I'm hoping one day that Universal will just release the Hulk, or they'll make some kind of deal and we could get the movie, because I actually like the Hulk movie. I thought it was better than most people give it credit for. But yeah, so the Spider-Man Homecoming and Venom are coming over. But before that, starting tomorrow, like midnight tonight, the previous Spider-Man films are coming over. The 3 Tobey Maguire movies and the 2 Andrew Garfield movies are coming over to Disney Plus. So more and more of Marvel is making its way to Disney Plus. Now, I assume those are going to be in the non-MCU section. The Norton Hulk. I'm not a big fan of the Banner Hulk. I thought the ending was unwatchable, and the special effects in the Hulk were a little Shrek-like. So it's not a Hulk I particularly like that much. But the Norton one I thought was head and shoulders above that, and I think it would have been even better had they actually gone with Marvel and Louis Leterrier's first choice to play Bruce Banner instead of Universal's insistence on Ed Norton. And of course, the first choice was Mark Ruffalo. So it would have just been more consistent. So Sam Elliott was good as Ross, but Sam Elliott, to be fair, is good in everything. Sam Elliott was good in Ghost Rider. Still, one of my favorite scenes from superhero movies is him and Nick Cage riding together through the desert, which makes no sense story-wise or anything else, but it is fun. It's got that cool Riders in the Sky song. So, all right, so you got that. Now, Variety is reporting that Avengers Kang Dynasty will begin filming in the spring of next year, which hopefully we'll have a better idea of what's going on with Jonathan Majors by then. But with the release date of May 2nd, 2005, which makes perfect sense because the previous Avenger films all took about 15 months from the start of filming to release. So, that's about right. If it starts in like February or March, it'll be about 15 months until it's released. Now, they're also saying that Loki season 2 is going to begin in mid-2023. Now, with Secret Invasion going from June 21st to July 26th, it sounds like there's not going to be that much space between it and the end of it and the start of Loki. I'm expecting it to kick off in August, and then maybe we'll get Echo in November or December. But we also got Ahsoka Tano in August. So will they want to put out a Marvel show and a Star Wars show at the same time? They've done it before, but they tend to not Kenobi overlapped a bit with Miss Marvel, but we'll see if they want to do that. Also on the scheduling, if you're already missing Din Djarin and Grogu, or Din Grogu, have no fear. Filming of season 4 is slated to begin in October, with pre-production, props, and set hires already underway. Now, back in February, Jon Favreau said he had already written the scripts for the 4th season. So even though the ending, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, even though the ending felt like it could have been a series finale, there will be more. The show will go on. So, all right. Now, this is going to lead into a bit of a rant here. And it's going to be a tiny bit political. So stay tuned. Get ready. Here we go. According to Deadline, Black Panther Wakanda Forever made just under $860 million worldwide. Now, honestly, that is behind the previous film by about 500 million. The first Black Panther did better. No argument against that. But that doesn't make it a bomb. That doesn't make it, a failure. And a lot of people on the internet are claiming it's a failure. Now, besides besides the 860, it also made 325 million after the theaters on Blu-ray, on video on demand, and streaming. And when you add all of that together and then subtract out the cost of the film to be made and advertising, the film profited $259 million. $259 million. Now, again, that's short of the original Black Panther by quite a bit. That was like 470, so about 210 million more. But that said, 259 million is far from a bomb. Majority of films, if they make 100 million profit, they are dancing in the aisles. Okay, that made back double its production or its initial budget. That is pretty impressive. But there's still people out there calling it a bomb, and I don't see $250 million in profit, and that's without taking in merchandising either. The toys sold pretty well for it too. So there's this narrative out there though that continues to call it a bomb. Now, with that, I look at Captain Marvel. Now, we know that film got review bombed, just blatantly. And it seems like any film that has a female lead or a person of color lead is the target. But there is these narratives that come out that are bold-faced lies. Captain Marvel is another one that is considered to be a bomb, that it did poorly. There was even a moment where someone who had been speaking out against the movie in the first place then said he went to the theater on opening weekend, took a photo of the theater because it was completely empty. Now, first thing, the guy was talking bad about the movie like crazy, and then he goes out to see it. But it turned out it was debunked, that the photo was fake, or it wasn't from an actual Captain Marvel screening. But that's the narrative out there. Well, the film grossed 1.13 billion worldwide. Okay, it is one of the Marvel films that have crossed the $1 billion mark. I have a hard time with that being called a bomb, because it's going to have made like 300 or 400 million in profit. That's why they're doing a Marvels too, because it made lots of money. There's another story going on right now saying that an upcoming movie had a test screening that was so bad that the test audience got up and left. It didn't happen. But there's still that narrative out there. There are still websites reporting those things. Now, if you're wondering why I'm bringing this up, it's because there are tons of sites out there that put up stories that appear to be just completely made up. That there is no source, there's no credibility. They just make things up to get people to click. Now, that's just, and a lot of the ones that are doing it now are doing it with an agenda, like going against films with a person of color as the lead or a female lead, or when the director you like gets fired or not brought back, you go after any film that he's not involved with from the same company. And that's what's been going on. Well, nothing so far has prevented that. And you know what? I will talk to somebody who hasn't seen a movie. And I'll say, well, this was, I really enjoyed that. And they go, really? Because everybody hated it. And I'm like, well, what do you mean everybody? Well, I kept seeing online that people hated it. And the problem there is, first thing, whenever you say everybody, you're not looking at everybody, because the majority of the people don't bother to put their thoughts on films and stuff onto the internet. You want to see what people think of a movie? Look at the first week it comes out and look at a couple weeks down the line. Look at the audience score on some of these websites like Rotten Tomatoes. But again, even that's getting questionable since people are review bombing. Critics aren't really getting what the audience wants. So it's really tough to judge these movies, and these false narratives are going, it's really damaging the box office and people's careers by doing this. How much of how bad Shazam 2 did, or Shazam Fury of the Gods, is because of the narrative pushed by the Zack Snyder fans. Oh, well, he's not, Zack has nothing to do with it anymore, so we're not going to see it. It's horrible. It's crap. But there's no ramifications for these people. There's nothing that says, well, you can't do that. In a way, it's slander. Going out and saying this stuff, is it libel or slander? I have to think about that. One's written, one's said, but the internet is kind of a mix when you do videos and stuff. But anyway, and this brings me to the political part of it. Been watching the coverage of the Dominion versus Fox trial. And Fox News, and ran with a narrative for their own personal agenda. Not based on facts, not based on evidence, based on what they believed their viewers wanted to hear and would get viewers to watch. And they had to admit that. And yes, they didn't have to come out and apologize afterwards. That's the big thing. But they settled, they did a settlement of $778 million. And all of the grand jury testimony and evidence that came out was put out there. So we know that the Fox hosts didn't believe the stuff they were saying, that they were, in fact, lying to feed an agenda. Now, why did they settle? Because it would get worse. It would, to have actually their major hosts like Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity, and then sit in the jury box or the witness box and testify that they lied, and asked about their own tweets that said stuff like how they didn't believe any of the stuff they were saying. So that's the ramifications. Now, in this case, they could prove that by those emails and text messages. Hey, Kenneth. So proving the liability was easier. But there really isn't a difference between a website or a news broadcast like Fox coming out and bringing on people to talk about, the defective or the manipulative voting machines, and feeding this agenda, versus somebody having their own website and writing stories and claiming facts about how a movie is so bad that the test audience walked out on it. Libel is written, social media and such. Slander is purely spoken. Okay, but if it's done in a video, would it be considered slander or libel? That's where I got tripped up. But so there are these people pushing these narratives. Will what happened with Fox trickle down to these sites? Now that this is created, can Warner Brothers Discovery and Disney, who are known to have a few good lawyers, ask Ron DeSantis, could they go after these websites? Could they go after the ones that put the story up about people walking out when there's no evidence that happened? Could they go after these sites that call Black Panther 2 a failure and a bomb when none of the evidence proves that? The closest thing they could say to that is it didn't live up to the previous film. But by definition of a bomb, it made quite a bit of money. So that's the thing I've been thinking about. And I would love to see it. I'm not one who, yes, let's sue this person, sue that person. But some of the websites out there that use these clickbaits, people aren't clicking on the story or reading the story and getting the nuance of the story. They're looking at the title, the headline that says Black Panther 2, a financial bomb. Captain Marvel, the most hated film in Marvel's history. Those stories, those headlines are causing potential damage to these films and these companies, and people are doing it to build their audience. Hey, Triple B. SSFD says, I like to be on the receiving end of those bombs, Prophet. Exactly. I mean, come on. By the way, I think I'm going to start calling you Lieutenant, because SSFD is tripping me up. So we'll just call you Lieutenant or Lou. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking is I would like to see Disney go after one of these sites. Now, I worked for Bleeding Cool, and Bleeding Cool has a reputation for being a gossip mag, for being just as bad as some of these others. But in truth, they're not. Having worked in the company, having worked with Rich Johnston, I know that when he got a tip or a story, the first thing he did was reached out to the publisher involved. There was a big story about 6 months before it was announced that a major person was moving from one publisher to another, like earth-shattering move. He found out about it in like July. It wasn't announced until February of the following year. When he found out about it, he went to the publisher, said, this is the information I have. Do you want to comment on it or anything? And they said, do us a favor. Don't run that story, and we'll give you some other stories. We'll give you some exclusives. And Rich went, okay. And he sat on it. It was a big story. But there is a level of journalistic integrity. You don't see it in some of the newer sites. There are sites out there, I don't even want to name them, that literally just make up stories to get people to click on them. And that drives me absolutely crazy. It really does. So yeah, I would love to see Disney go after some of these sites, or Warner Brothers go after these sites that are making it their mission to pull down or destroy these films, make them not do well. And there are plenty of them out there. So let me catch up real quick on the comments. Let's see. Eddie says, careful typing bomb as the other spelling in the algorithm and can get you in FB jail. Yeah, good point. That is what goes, that's what he goes by as lieutenant. Okay, good. Never forget I'm not on Facebook, force of habit. Let's see, Triple B's, welcome back, Triple B. Listen to the show driving home from work, and when I get home, I can watch and chat. Cool. Well, I am glad that you're driving safe there, Triple B. All right, we're going to take our first break, and when we come back, we will talk about The Mandalorian season finale, because I'm done with my rant. Be right back.
Did you know that every experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey, and behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today. Comic Collectibles is a pretty straightforward show. You got Rex here, he sells the comics, and you got Rockin' Robbie, he knows about the comics. And finally, John, well, no one really knows what John does. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great guy, but he just keeps showing up. Come to think of it, I don't even really know how he gets in here. Anyway, awesome comics, rare books, rarer signatures, slabbed books, and amazing cover sketches by Ken Hazer and others. Simple formula, you want the comics, you buy the comics. To sum up, Rex sells the comics, Robbie knows the comics, and John, who might possibly be a ghost. I mean, seriously, has anyone ever seen him show up or leave? Comic Collectibles with Rex and John, Mondays from 6 to 8 Eastern on The Experience. Comic Culture and Sales.
Go follow The Experience on TikTok at @the_EXP1 or scan the QR code on the screen. Our TikTok is like everywhere else we are, except you only have to deal with us for a minute. Seems like a win-win to me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. We got a great lineup today. Following here will be What's in the Box, and then Space Cadets, and tonight is Sketch Up with Mog and Mel, and they have 2 guests this week, Christine Shin, who has been on this show before, who does a book called Demon Bitch, and Don Nguyen will also be there, and both of them are part of CAPS, the Comic Arts Professional Society, which is based here in Los Angeles. I was a member for quite a few years. So it should be a good show. You want to tune in for that. We got a bit of news just came in having to do with Star Wars. Since we're going to talk about Mandalorian, might as well cover this real quick. Disney has released a press release or a statement confirming the 7 main cast members for the upcoming second season of Andor. Now, this is still ways off, but these are the 7 characters, and it's going to be just as interesting who's listed as who's not. So, of course, Diego Luna is back as Cassian Andor. Adria Arjona is back as Bix Kalen. Denise Go returns as Deidre Miro, the Imperial officer. Genevieve O'Reilly will be back as Mon Mothma. Kyler Solar will be back as Cyril Karn, the ex-security officer who got fired trying to track him down. Muhammad Bahar will return as Wilmon. He was the younger kid during the revolt on after Andor's adopted mother got killed. And Joplin Sibtain Brasso. The 7th person is the one that really surprises me. Andy Serkis will be back as Kino Loy. So I guess he learned to swim or something. Now, not in that list is Stellan Skarsgård. I'm assuming maybe he's playing a smaller role in season 2. So he's not one of the main cast, but you can't go on without him. He lived through the ending. Everybody thought he was going to die, and he lived, so they got it. But, you know, Andy Serkis' character looked like he was about to die, and he lived, so who knows? Hey, Canonis. If Facebook Live is totally unwatchable, soundtrack is always off, constantly looking and like, okay. Let's see. They'll never top season 2 finale. That being said, the last one was so much fun to watch. I have no complaint. Mandalorian, yeah. The previous episode was called Spies. That one gets me too. So let's get into it. Let's put up the little spoiler symbol. I don't think we need to do the roll. We know it's coming, but we can put up the little spoiler logo. Even wore my Mando shirt today. So, there is something that I've been seeing in Disney shows, both Marvel and Star Wars. And this was as evident here as anywhere. They're not going to try to get too complicated. You know, it's not going to be all twisty-turny. They're pretty much telling a straightforward story. They've done it all through the seasons. And what's funny, I mean, Andor is probably the one that had the most twists. But overall, you see it online all the time. People, including myself, come up with these big, grandiose ideas. Like, oh, this guy is, Ralph Boner is really Simon Williams, and Mephisto's going to pop up, and, Arnim Zola is the power broker. I'm trying to think of some other ones that Star Wars related. But, Boba Fett's going to show up at the end, or the Armorer is a spy. I'm still holding out that the Armorer is recast. They haven't done anything to disprove that. But the finale was about as straightforward as you can get. They answered a ton of questions. Why was Gideon going after Grogu in the first place? Why did he have Dr. Pershing? What did he want with, what was he trying to do? What was his plan? And we see that his plan was to clone himself, but include midi-chlorians so that he could use the Force. And of course, Grogu's race are known for having a very high M count, so that makes the sense to splice in that DNA. But after seeing Luke Skywalker mow through his dark troopers like they were nothing, you can see why he decided to move to Mandalore and start mining the Beskar and making the armor out of that. I had a feeling it was going to be destroyed, the Darksaber. I just thought it would be done in a more grandiose way. It was more of a, oh, look, it's destroyed. Oh, well, that's done. That's the one thing is, it was a bit of an anticlimactic ending. We didn't have any betrayals. We didn't have a mythosaur suddenly pop up. You know, we didn't end up with Grogu wielding the Darksaber. All of the things that happened were just linear storytelling, you know? There weren't a whole lot of big twists. We expected spies, and the two candidates were either Axe Woves or the Armorer, and neither one of them turned out to be spies, at least not yet. They didn't betray anybody. If anything, both of them kicked ass. You know, I mean, Axe flew through all of that clouds cover, went into space, took over the capital ship, and then fought off as many TIE interceptors as he could to crash it into the base. And lived. That's a pretty kick-ass thing. And then, you know, the armor brought down the cavalry. What's the other term for it? Reinforcements. And while all of them were going in with guns and stuff, she kept the hammer and the tongs as her weapons while flying. You know how hard it is to fly and do melee? Neither do I, because I don't fly. Nor do I do a lot of melee. But it looked really difficult, didn't it? You know, but to see Bo-Katan, you know, charging forward with the Darksaber out, all of that was great. Eddie says, yes, it was. As much hype as the saber got, it just got crushed like a beer can. The way Grogu looked into the water and the monster woke up was interesting. Where are they going there? Okay. We'll get to that. So I think the title of the episode is The Return. And the return, in my opinion, means the return of the Mandalorians to Mandalore. This was a successful retaking of their planet. You know, they got rid of the Imperials. They found out they could actually grow stuff again, that they could farm, that they could make civilization on their planet, that it was worth coming back for. You know, and I think the Darksaber needed to be destroyed because it was a symbol of the old ways. Just as Death Watch, you know, the Armorers group, cling to the way adamantly, where they won't take their helmets off, Bo-Katan's group clung to the Darksaber as the symbol of leadership. At the end, both groups were accepting Bo-Katan as their leader. They didn't need the Darksaber anymore. It was destroyed, but it wasn't needed anymore. She led taking back the planet. So even though it was under her watch that they lost the planet, she led them taking it back. That's going to salve a lot of old wounds. And she lived with Death Watch long enough, lived by the way, and helped save one of their own, one of the younglings. So she's bonded to them as well. So in a lot of ways, it was the best possible outcome for Mandalore because they now have a leader that's respected by both factions. And in doing so, there's the possibility they could bring the rest of the Mandalorians back. They could start rebuilding their planet. Yeah, I mean, this episode was the retaking of Mandalore. It started with Din going there early on, and it ended with them taking it back. That was the story arc for this season. It showed Bo-Katan's redemption and becoming the leader they needed. So it was less about Din and Grogu and more about the Mandalorians as a whole, you know. So yeah, it changed a bit. Din took a little bit of a backseat in some episodes, but I still think that it was good, and he was crucial to the saving of it. Now, I don't think we're done with the Mandalorians. I think the fact that there is the mythosaur there, I think that eventually Grogu is going to be the one to tame the mythosaur and ride it, because we've already seen he has the ability to communicate with it, that he's able to soothe beasts like the Rancor. So that's all being set up. And now that he's an apprentice, not just a youngling or foundling, then he's moving along in that. I thought it was interesting that they went ahead and in a lot of ways they reset the show in the very ending. Because when we started with The Mandalorian, he was a bounty hunter taking jobs from Navarro, picking and choosing which jobs he wants. Now he's back living on Navarro. He's adopted Grogu, now Din Grogu, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And he's now doing mercenary work for the rebellion, which will put him into the situations like the upcoming Thrawn thing and going after Imperials. So season 4 is already set up. He's got backup now with IG-11 being restored. I think what they did was they put a nice bookend, not only on the season, but to a lot of stuff that was building up. So if this was the series finale, it would make a lot of sense, but it's not, because like I said, we know that they're going to start filming season 4. The scripts are already written, and it's going to lead into the movie, the Dave Filoni movie. But my only thing that comes out of it, we don't know who the other spies are, but that just means that they're still there. But who are they spies for? If not for Gideon, then who are they spying for? The mythosaur is still there. Like I said, it's probably going to be Grogu. I don't know why they gave him the Din name. Shouldn't he have been Grogu Jarin? Because Paz Vizsla is of the Vizsla family line of Tar Vizsla and Pre Vizsla and Ragnar Vizsla. And then you look at Bo-Katan's Bo-Katan Kryze, Satine Kryze of the clan Kryze. So why did he get the Din part of it? Unless Din is associated with being a foundling. Maybe all of them are Din something. But when they get, I don't know. I'm hoping somebody explains that. Ed says, now for the important question, were you shocked Grogu didn't eat that frog at the end? I remember Luke yelling at him for doing that in the Boba series. Yes, no, that's showing that he's growing up. We got to see how much more power he had. And yeah, it's just him growing up. So now he just plays with it instead of actually eating. How quick they grow up, Ed. So, all right, we're going to take our final break. And when we come back, I got some key issues to talk about. So be right back.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
You know how when you go to Comic-Con, after Comic-Con, you go to the hotel bar, and there's a whole bunch of people playing music and dancing, and you've got Pikachu and Lara Croft Tomb Raider doing the cha-cha slide just down from Deadpool and Batman and Wonder Woman? That's every Saturday night over on the Experience Twitch channel. Join Taji Beats for the EXP Dance Party, exclusively on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Programming on the EXP is made possible by viewers like you, or your local comic shop, or that Kickstarter you backed, or the publisher you like, or comic industry professionals who want to share a message with the world. Really, anyone who wants to advertise with us can. If you're interested in seeing a product you know and love, or are creating, or are publishing, or are involved with, advertised here on The Experience, and having your message shared with our viewers, please reach out by scanning the QR code below or visiting our website and using the contact form.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show. We got some more breaking news, literally just posted 7 minutes ago on Deadline. They're exclusively saying that Disney has come to a settlement with former Marvel Studios VFX chief Victoria Alonso after having fired her last month. Now, details between Alonso and Disney are confidential. There was a multi-million-dollar financial compensation, though, and the deal between the parties was reached in the past few days. So that's kind of done. So where a lot of people thought that would be coming up, we'd be hearing a lot of insider stuff. Nope. Done. That's taken care of. So anyone else purchase tickets for 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi next Friday? I thought about that, but I haven't yet. So, okay. Let's go to our key collectibles. What we're going to do today is, as we get closer and closer to, I don't know what image he's using there, but as we get closer and closer to Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought I would do some collectibles of them. We're going to start with Gamora, and we got some variant covers and stuff like that. So, starting off with Strange Tales number 180 from 1975, first appearance of Gamora. This is high end's about $300 on this, median's about $90, $30 on the low end. After that, we have Strange Tales Warlock number 181 this was the very next one. And while we met Gamora in the previous issue, this is where we actually find out her name. Now, this one goes for about $55. 15 on the median, and about $5 on the low end. This Warlock number 10, Strange Tales became Warlock, or it ended up getting his own title. Number 10 in 1975, The Origin of Gamora and Thanos. And check out the Michael Golden cover. That is gorgeous, isn't it? Okay. High end on this is about $40, median's about 12, low end, pick one up for about $4. So after that, we have Avengers Annual number 7 in 1977. And this is interesting because this sort of stuck for a long time. This was the death of Gamora, Warlock, and Pip the Troll. It's also where we got the first appearance of all 6 Infinity Gems. High end on this is about $85, median's about $20, low end's about $8. This is a good one to pick up because what happens next is all the way until 1991, those characters were out of play. They did nothing with those characters for 15 odd years. This is where they were reintroduced. Gamora, Warlock, and Pip were suddenly introduced as being in the Soul World, or basically inside the Soul Gem. And we see the Soul World in the Marvel movies. in the MCU. The high end on this is only $12. Median's $5, low end's $2. So first look at the Soul World within the Soul Gem. All right. Then in 2008, this is when Abnett and Lanning decided to bring back the Guardians in a new format. Now, the original Guardians were Charlie 27, Starhawk, Vance Astro, Martinex, and we get to see them in the MCU as the original Ravagers that Yondu used to be part of. But they were the Guardians originally. They appeared in the Avengers. Jim Valentino did a big run on them. But in 2008, they relaunched the name Guardians of the Galaxy with a whole new lineup that included Gamora, Star-Lord, Rocket, Groot ended up being part of it. Adam Warlock is a big cast. This was $35 on the high end, $9 on the median, $3 on the low end. Was the Soul World where the little girl Gamora asked down? Yes, that's the Soul World. All right, after that, we go to Annihilation Quest. Now, the previous issue, the Guardians, was them coming together, but Annihilation Quest number 6 was they actually appear as a team together for the first time. And the high end on this is 60, median's 18, low end's 5. And you can tell by the lineup there, it's not quite what we see in the movies, but it's pretty close. So, all right, after that, now here's a couple of variant covers that I think are just really gorgeous. This is from Guardians of the Galaxy number 1 in 2013 when they did a new version of it. This is Milo Manara, the European artist, doing a variant cover. This one goes for $45 on the high end, $12 on the median, and $4 on the low end. Then we have a J. Scott Campbell variant cover for Guardians of the Galaxy number 4, also from 2013. This one is dirt cheap out there. If you're looking for a good J. Scott Campbell cover, high end on it's only $3. So you can probably pick one of these up really cheap if you look for it. After that, we have a Gabriel Delotto variant cover. I like this one a lot. I love the blood marks on the sword and the handprint on the wall. This is from Original Sin number 7 in 2014. This one's worth some money. If you've got this in your collection, you don't realize it. High end on this one is $515. $150 on the median and $45 on the low end. And then we have Gamora getting her own series. This was Gamora number 1 from 2017. I don't know why it looks like she's wearing a sweater. It's a different outfit for her. But the high end on this is $15, the median is $5, and the low end is $1. I think that's all 11. Yep. So, all right. Since we got another minute or two to go, anybody have any questions based on The Mandalorian or any of the other stuff that I said? Go ahead and pipe up now. My overall thought on the Mandalorian series is I know a lot of people were a little disappointed with the season, but I wasn't, because, again, I think a lot of it is people going into these things with a level of expectations on what they want to see, or, they want Easter eggs. They want, we got Zeb in one episode, but people wanted to see Ahsoka and all this other from there. Hello from LA Superior Courthouse. They're guilty, aren't they, JD? Whoever it is, it's guilty, right? What was that the first time stormtroopers had jetpacks? I don't remember them flying before. There is a group of stormtroopers called Super Troopers, not to be just confused with the movie, and they're based on the original concept for Boba Fett. Boba Fett was originally going to be a new type of stormtrooper, and when they realized how much it would cost to make all of the armors to make them stormtroopers, they decided, no, we'll just make them a one-off. So you can actually find footage out there of him in all white with the jetpack and everything else, and then they painted him later. So the concept of the Super Troopers have been out there. They've appeared in animated shows and they've appeared in comics, but I believe this is the first live action version of them with the jetpacks. So didn't know I knew that answer, did you? So, all right. Well, again, I liked the season. I thought it was a good ending. I'm not 100% sure Moff Gideon is dead. You think he is, but at the same time, you're thinking, well, maybe he got one that came out right. And, so there's one Moff Gideon out there that can use the Force. Didn't Super Troopers appear in an early video game? Yes, Randy. Yes, that's the other part that I forgot. Was it Battlefront? Don't remember, but yeah, they do appear up. The show is just too quick, Dan. Yeah. All and see all. Well, Lisa would definitely dissuade you of that opinion of me. The Moff's body not shown, doors open, exactly. And even if he's killed, maybe that was one of the clones. Though I do like the fact that the bad guy in Mandalorian, the overall big bad for the series, was basically Iron Man. Because by the end there, his suit wasn't just armor. It gave him more strength. It had rotors and stuff. It was basically an Iron Man armor made of Beskar. So basically, Jon Favreau made Iron Man the bad guy for Mandalorian. Ed says, that was so cool seeing Grogu block the fire with the Force, showing you how powerful he can be. Yeah, that's a callback to the first season when the flame trooper comes in and tries to shoot them and he blocks it and then just passes out. You see how much his power has grown in that short a time. And it's been a couple years. But you see how much his power has grown with the amount of flames, and all he did was sit down after. So, and I love the pose where you've got Bo-Katan in front with the shield, very small shield, and Din over as well, and he's the one protecting them. It's like, oh, it's a little family, a mommy and a daddy and a baby. Eventually, those two have to hook up, right? Bo and Din. Just saying. All right, guys, we got to wrap it up there. Stick around for What's in the Box, and I will be back next week. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend with lots of viewing of the experience and fun stuff, and I will see you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Join the party. Head over to our Linktree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.